Paul Hogan talks about the terrible things from his Linda Kozlowski divorce. Paul Hogan was born on October 8, 1939 in a small country town called Lightning Ridge in New South Wales, Australia, a place most famous for its gem mining and tough cowboy way of life. He was born in the late 1930s when people were still dealing with hard times from the Great Depression and big changes from World War II. Not much is known about his parents and his early family life, but Hogan's simple beginnings in country Australia helped him learn to joke around and stay down to earth, things that would later make him special both on TV and in real life. Growing up in a working-class family, he didn't have the fancy training of a regular entertainer, but instead made his own special path using his strength, smart jokes, and natural charm. When he was a young man, Hogan got one of the hardest and most famous jobs in Sydney, working as a builder on the Sydney Harbour Bridge. This job needed bravery, strength, and someone who wasn't scared of heights, since builders had to fix and take care of the huge steel bridge. This work made him tougher and taught him about the hard reality of working with Haitians, but it also let him meet lots of different people and see situations that would later help him with his comedy. Standing way up high above the busy harbor, Hogan was far away from the entertainment world, but the job taught him how to laugh when things got dangerous and hard, something that became a big part of his comedy style. Paul Hogan's first taste of being famous came not from planning it carefully, but from taking a big chance. In 1971, he went on an Australian show called New Faces, a talent show made to show off new performers. Back then, Hogan wasn't a professional comedian, but his natural jokies and special style of humor filled with making fun of himself, cheeky comments, and a totally Australian feel right away hit it big with audiences. His comedy was special because it was rough, not fancy, and really Australian, giving people something different from the shows that usually came from other countries on TV. The audience and judges really liked him, and Hogan quickly figured out that he had found a talent that could take him way beyond his bridge-building job on the Harbour Bridge. The huge popularity of his comedy skills soon gave Hogan the chance to star in his own show, The Paul Hogan Show, which he not only acted in, but also wrote and made, became a TV hit throughout the 1970s and early 1980s. The show was famous for its funny skits filled with weird characters, crass situations, and a sharp sense of humor that made fun of both everyday life and Australian stereotypes. Audiences loved its disrespectful humor, and Hogan's ability to laugh at himself made millions of people love him. The show's appeal went beyond Australia, getting fans in places like South Africa, making Hogan's reputation as an entertainer even stronger around the world. His hard work was noticed in 1973 when he won the important TV Week Logie Award in the Best New Talent category, a clear sign that his comedy star was going up. Hogan's move into acting started small. He made his first movie appearance in 1980 with a small part in the Australian film Fatty Finn, a fun movie that gave him a small taste of the film business. 5 years later, he took on a bigger role as Lance Corporal Pat Cleary in the TV miniseries N6, a historical drama about Australian soldiers during World War I. This role let him try out his acting skills, proving that he could handle more serious stuff, as well as comedy. By this time, Hogan had really made himself known as a beloved star, but the world was about to discover him in a much bigger way. In 1986, Paul Hogan became an international star with the movie Crocodile Dundee. Not only did he act in the film, but he also helped write the story, creating the character of Michael J. Dundee, a charming bushman with a bigger-than-life personality. The film, directed by Peter Feynman, followed the adventures of Dundee as he went through both the Australian outback and the busy streets of New York City, creating a funny culture clash that audiences around the world found amazing. Made with a pretty small budget of under $10 million, Crocodile Dundee became a huge hit at movie theaters, making hundreds of millions worldwide. It wasn't just a money success, but also a culture alone, putting Australia clearly on the movie map and making Hogan a famous name around the world. The success of Crocodile Dundee brought Hogan awards and praise from critics. He won the Golden Globe Award for Best Actor in a Comedy or Musical Movie, and his screenplay got him an Academy Award nomination, along with a BAFTA nomination. Few actors get such praise in their first major international role, but Hogan's magnetic presence and natural comedic timing made Dundee unforgettable. He had tapped into a universal character type, the tough, good-natured outsider who could carry on, and audiences loved it. Following the huge success of the first film, Hogan played his role again in Crocodile Dundee 2 in 1988. While the sequel made good money, it got so-so reviews from critics who felt it failed to capture the fresh magic of the original. Despite this, Hogan's star power stayed strong. In 1990, he appeared in comedy drama Almost an Angel, in which he played a small-time crook given a chance to do better. Unfortunately, the film was both a money flop and got bad reviews from critics. His 1994 Western comedy Lightning Jack also failed to win over critics. Hogan's special brand of humor was still loved by loyal fans. In 1996, Hogan starred in the family film Flipper, a remake of the classic series, playing the role of a grumpy uncle who becomes friends with his nephew and a friendly dolphin. Hogan's acting was praised even though the film itself flopped at the box office, making only $20 million against a $25 million budget. Interestingly, despite its money problems, the movie was nominated for several awards, proof of Hogan's lasting ability to connect with audiences on screen. In 1998, he appeared in the made-for-TV film Floating Away, continuing to take on different roles. Hogan returned to his most famous character one last time in 2001 with Crocodile Dundee in Los Angeles. While the film did not match the success of earlier ones and was considered the worst of the three movies, it marked the end of an era for Hogan and the Dundee character that had made his career. After Dundee's goodbye, Hogan began to step back from Hollywood and focus more in life away from the spotlight. In the next few years, Hogan took on smaller projects, including the Australian comedy Strange Bedfellows in 2004, About Men Who Pretend to Be a Gay Couple for Money Reasons, and Charlie and Boots in 2009, a road movie about relationship between a father and son. Both films did well in Australia and reminded audiences of Hogan's lasting charm and comedic warmth. By 2013, although he was no longer acting regularly, Hogan made a memorable guest appearance on Adam Hill's Tonight, showing that his humor and charm had not faded with time. Paul Hogan's personal life has been marked by long-lasting relationships, familial responsibility, and also public marriage troubles that often got as much attention as his career. His first marriage was to Nolene Edwards, whom he married in 1958, long before he became famous as a comedian or international movie star. At that time, Hogan was still a young man, working blue-collar jobs in Sydney, and the marriage meant stability and family life during his early years. Together, Hogan and Edwards raised a large family, having 5 children during their marriage. For many years, their marriage looked to outsiders strong and lasting as they went through Hogan's slow rise from construction work to TV comedy and eventually film stardom. However, by 1981, after more than 20 years together, their relationship had reached a breaking point. The couple separated and got a divorce, which was a difficult and emotional process given their long history and the number of children involved. Despite this, their story took an unusual turn. Less than a year after their divorce, Hogan and Edwards decided to remarry, suggesting there was still love and a desire to fix the bond they once had. This getting back together, though hopeful, ultimately did not last. In 1986, Hogan started divorce proceedings once more, and this second divorce became famous in Australia. It was widely covered in the press and was even called one of the nation's ugliest celebrity divorces. News outlets reported heavily on many settlements, personal accusations, and emotional toll, turning what should have been a private matter into a public show. After moving on from his messy first marriage, Hogan found love again in a very different way. While filming the blockbuster hit Crocodile Dundee in themed 1980s, he started a close relationship with his co-star, the American actress Linda Kozlowski. Fire and screen chemistry turned into real life, and the pair married in 1990. Unlike his long marriage to Edwards, Hogan's relationship with Kozlowski was built during his peak fame, and the two became one of the most recognizable couples in Hollywood and Australia. Together they had one child, a son named Chance, born in 1998. For many years, they seemed to have a stable and loving marriage, often going to public events together and showing a united front as Hogan's career continued. Yet, even this marriage eventually faced difficulties. In October 2013, after more than 2 decades together, Kozlowski filed for divorce from Hogan, citing considerable differences. The decision was reportedly friendly compared to his earlier divorce, and both parties emphasized mutual respect and care for their son. The divorce was finalized in 2014, marking the end of Hogan's second marriage. As a father, Hogan's family life hassle has been extensive and important. With Nolene Edwards, he had 5 children: Brett, Clay, Scott, Todd, and Lauren. Each of them grew up during Hogan's rise to fame, experiencing both ordinary family life of their early years and the unusual pressures that come with having a celebrity father. With Linda Kozlowski, Hogan's 6th and youngest child, Chance Hogan, was born, giving him a son nearly 40 years after his first child. His role as a father to both older adult children and a younger son later in life has often been noted as central to his personal identity, even as his marriages changed over the years. Paul Hogan, the Australian actor who became famous worldwide with his role as Mick Crocodile Dundee, has lived a life filled with both wins and personal struggles. Among the most painful chapters of his personal story was his divorce from Linda Kozlowski, his co-star in the Crocodile Dundee films and his wife for over 20 years. When Hogan has chosen to think back on the separation, his words show not only the pain of a broken marriage, but also the heavy emotional cost that fame, lifestyle differences, and years of shared history can have on two people deeply in love. Hogan admitted the divorce was anything but easy, and he has not been shy about describing lasting scars. It was heartbreaking, Hogan said, admitting that breaking up with Kozlowski felt like losing both a partner and a best friend. Having met in the late 1980s while filming the movie that would shoot them both to international fame, their relationship seemed like a fairy tale to the outside world. The tough Aussie hero and the glamorous American actress seemed to be a perfect match both on screen and off, yet, as Hogan has explained, beneath the polished Hollywood image, there were cracks that got bigger over the years. Thinking back on the breakdown of their relationship, Hogan once said, "Divorce is like surgery without pain medicine. You feel every cut, every tear, and it leaves scars you can't see, but you feel every single day." This vivid description shows just how deep life's separation affected him. Though he is known for his sharp wit and easygoing humor, Hogan admitted that the divorce took away his natural optimism for a time. "You think you're tough. You think you can handle anything, but when the person you built your life with walks away, it's like the ground disappears beneath you," he explained. Part of the agony for Hogan came from sudden emptiness that Linda's absence created in his daily life. For more than 20 years, they had been partners in everything, raising their son, Chance, dealing with the highs and lows of Hollywood fame, and traveling between Australia and the United States. When she left, the silence in the house was defeating, Hogan remembered. "I'd walk past her empty chair or see her coffee cup in the cupboard, and it was like a stab to the heart." Such comments show the raw human side of a man often shown as the larger-than-life Crocodile Dundee, reminding fans that fame and fortune do not protect anyone from personal pain. Hogan has also been honest about the challenges of separating from someone who shared not only his private life but also his professional journey. "It's not like you can just erase the past," he remarked. "Every movie, every photo, every memory has her face in it. That's not some thing you can just pack away in a box." Their marriage had been more than a personal bond. It was woven into the very fabric of Hogan's career and public identity. That entanglement made the process of moving on far more complicated than it might have been for an ordinary couple. Despite the bitterness of divorce proceedings, Hogan has consistently expressed respect for Linda as both a mother and a person. Still, his words hint at the quiet suffering that lingers long after the legal documents are present. "People think divorce ends deep and once the papers are filed," Hogan observed. "But the truth is that's when it begins. That's when you start living with the absence, the loneliness, and the wondering if you could have done something different." His thoughts are ethos of a man who has wrestled not only with regret, but also with the unavoidable reality that sometimes love, even when real, cannot bridge differences that grow too wide. Ultimately, Hogan has tried to find perspective in the heartbreak. "You learn to live with it," he said softly. "The scars don't vanish, but you find a way to keep going. Life doesn't stop because their heart's been broken. You just hope the next chapter is a little kinder." These words reveal a man who has endured personal loss, but continues to seek peace and strength in the face of life's hardships. For Paul Hogan, the divorce from Linda Kozlowski was not merely the end of a marriage, but the unraveling of a partnership that had defined much of his adult life. His frank comments lay bare the emotional costs of celebrity relationships and remind the world that behind every Hollywood love story lies the same human vulnerability that touches us.